another segment of Calling Out Your Team, switching over to the NBA here, talking about kind of the MVP race going on. It's narrowing down to a handful of names here. I've got four on my list here that I'm going to kind of dive into, talk about, and then ultimately give a prediction of who I think should win MVP this year. So kind of going from the top down, Nikola Jokic is the odds favorite right now. But he's kind of, I mean, even though he's leading the race, he's not on my list of the four guys who I think will win it. I think that the Nuggets haven't done enough as a team. Obviously, MVP is an individual award, but as we know, a lot of how your team is doing plays into winning MVP. And I think the Nuggets are just a little too far off the radar to make Jokic get a back-to-back MVP this year. So starting out, I'm going to go to Philly here with Joel Embiid, who currently leads the league points per game, 29.8 points per game. But now we will have to see how that gets affected with bringing in James Harden to the team. I could see this hurting his chances definitely of winning the MVP award, as he's going to start getting less looks, less points. Well, they might win more games. I'm sure Embiid would like less wear and tear on his body, less weight to carry on his shoulders, having Harden on the team now. Harden is even, I think, in the top 10 of MVP conversation, closer, I think he's like 7 or 8 or something. So if he comes to Philly and takes off, maybe he inserts himself into the conversation. But I would definitely put Embiid well above Harden at the moment. But again, Harden coming in, obviously great for the team. But as far as Embiid chasing that MVP title at the end of the season, I think this is going to hurt him a little bit. Moving on next to my Bucks here, Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right behind Embiid, second in the NBA with 29.4 points per game. And also, he is top 20 in both assists and rebounds per game, which is definitely hard to do, to be in the top 20 players in the league in all three of those categories. I mean, as we know, watching the Bucks, he's kind of, making the Wisconsin comparison, just like Aaron Rodgers to the Packers. You take Rodgers off that team, they're average at best. Same with the Bucks. You take Giannis off that team, they have a couple other playmakers. I mean, you got Drew, you got Middleton, you got Brook Lopez when he's healthy, Grayson Allen. You got some guys on that team that are average to above average players in the league. But you take Giannis off that team, they're not nearly the same. So MVP, most valuable player in the league, yes, but also a lot of it has to do with most valuable player on your team, which Giannis definitely fits the bill for that. The other two guys kind of on my radar here this season, definitely lower on the list, but based on their play over the last really couple weeks, month or so, one being DeMar DeRozan, averaging 28, 5 and 5 on the season. Even more impressive than that, 36.9 points per game over his last 10 games. The Bulls steadily staying on top of the East. They still have Caruso out with a wrist injury, so it's basically been DeRozan and Levine. Vucevic as well has obviously contributed a lot to that team. But DeRozan has really stepped up over the last, obviously, 10 games, averaging almost 37 points per game. So if he continues this trend and continues to kind of put the weight on his back, averaging over 30 points a game, it's hard not to put him in that conversation. And then the last guy, again, kind of a little off the radar, but has been playing great, including a huge comeback last night. Got to watch that game. Golden State versus the Mavericks, down 21 points. Luka goes off, gets another 34-point game, and they get the upset comeback win in Golden State. Luka averaging 27, 8, and 9 on the season. And like DeRozan, has had a great last 10 games, 34.7 points over his last 10. kind of flying under the radar in the West. The Mavericks are. Mavericks still without Porzingis. He's out with an injury. So this kind of elevation of Luka's game, I'm sure, has a lot to do in large part to Porzingis being out. Um, but yeah, hard not to put him in the conversation the way he's been playing. And kind of, I guess, my prediction for MVP then this year. The two guys that I'm kind of leaning towards, obviously being biased towards the Bucks. Giannis is definitely one of those two guys, putting up the same numbers he always has. Again, as I mentioned, top 20 in points, assists, and rebounds per game. That team would not be the same without him. Although I think that the winner, so long as he continues to do what he does, despite the change of environment, Joel Embiid, again, leading the league in points. I know he's been battling through a back injury for a lot of the year. Not that that really has any weight on an MVP award, but it just makes it that much more impressive to put up these numbers dealing with an injury. But I think Embiid should get the MVP award. Only thing that I see, again, standing in the way of that is James Harden. How much of an impact does he have? Does he continue to put up 25 plus points a game and take away some of those looks and points from Embiid? If that does happen, I think Giannis does get the MVP award. Otherwise, as I mentioned at the start, Nikola Jokic is the odds-on favorite right now. But like I said, I don't think that, in my opinion, he has done enough. That team has done enough to earn him that MVP award. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and tune in for the next video.